Senator, good morning. You've been a long-time advocate for tax and economic reforms. I think this election, as with most, will be about the economy. What are the messages you think Donald Trump needs to sell on the economy to win this election?
One, we talked about energy, and I'll not expand on that anymore because that is a great economic benefit that we're #1 in the world when it comes to energy resources, and what we need is a political will to unleash that creativity and resources. The other is our corporate tax laws, which are the highest, most burdensome in the world. And so when people are talking about trade and businesses leaving our country, let's make sure our tax policies are competitive with the rest of the world. Let's make sure some of the trillions that are overseas held in accounts of companies that don't want to bring it back to our country get hit with a 35% tax. If you want to turbocharge our economy, let's bring that money back, those trillions, to create jobs here in America and make our country more competitive. And that's the sort of approach we ought to be taking.
Yeah.
And hopefully Donald Trump will focus in on those type issues.
Yeah, and obviously he's going to be meeting with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan this Thursday to talk about this growing rift among leaders of the Republican Party. Trump discussed the matter yesterday with me here on Mornings with Maria. Listen to what he said about this upcoming meeting, sir.
I don't know exactly what is happening here. I was called a number of weeks ago by Paul Ryan. It was a very nice call, a very complimentary call, and that was the last I spoke to him, and all of a sudden he wants to talk. And I think this is a time for unity. And if there's not going to be unity, I think that's okay, too. I mean, I'll go out, and I think I'll do very well. I think I'm going to win the race either way.
What about that, sir? I mean, Senator, how important is this meeting, and do you think that Donald Trump is going to be able to prove to the skeptics that he's actually living up to Republican principles? It's not personality. This is not about Paul Ryan. We know that. This is about the principles of the Republican Party.
It's about principles and ideas, and Paul Ryan has the potential to be an outstanding speaker because he's driven by positive, constructive ideas, and hopefully he'll be able to put forward a good, positive agenda that can get people saying, yeah, we're for that. That'll make our country more competitive for investment and jobs and more secure. The personality aspects are not as important, as you say, Maria, as the issues and the ideas. And Paul Ryan's wanted, just like a lot of folks, want to hear what Donald Trump's principles are, his philosophy, and specifics of what he would want to do as president.
Yeah.
And that way the congressional delegation can actually be helpful. I think Paul Ryan, the carrying on about Paul Ryan being the chairman of the Republican National Convention, he probably would be happy not to be chairman of it. Marsha Blackburn would be fine to be chairman of this Republican National Convention. What matters most to people are ideas, initiatives, reforms, rather than personalities or petty politics.
He'll be able to prove then that he wants those ideals.
Who's going to be able? Well, we'll see if Mr. Trump will be able to do so.
Yeah, Dick,
I can't predict how that meeting will go.
Sure.
It'll be a very watched meeting. I'm sure you'll cover it, Maria.
For sure. Dick Grasso.
Senator, at the end of the day, do those who haven't supported Donald or who have said that they're not going to support Donald, do they understand that that's a vote for Hillary Clinton?
Dick, great question. I was one who was for Marco Rubio, and when he dropped out, I didn't endorse anyone. I said it reminded me of an Eagles-Giants playoff game. That's about the enthusiasm I had for it. Now, you ultimately get to the Super Bowl, and the Giants will be playing the Patriots. But the way to look at this is, here's Ronald Reagan, who's my hero, is not on the ballot, nor anyone like Ronald Reagan. So what we have is a socialist, we have liberal Mrs. Clinton, and one of the more successful businessmen in our country. And while I have reservations about Mr. Trump, to me the choice is fairly easy, that I'd prefer Mr. Trump because I think he'll do more, he'll advocate things that are more consistent with my point of view, even though I do have some reservations.
But see, Senator,
but I know what a socialist or a liberal would do.
See, I think that's a much more responsible approach, which is to say, yes, you'll have my vote, but let's have discussion about what it means to be a constitutional conservative in the Republican Party.
Or a conservative who's an active conservative, not just keeping things the same old way. We need a lot of reforms. We need to improve this country for opportunities for all. And I want to see action, not just talking about parties or red versus blue or or conservative versus liberal. It's specific ideas
But
that
let's support
people
the
are
nominee.
looking for
Right.
and actions.
But let's support the nominee.
Yep.
Right, and elections are about choices. And again, the way I look at it, one of the more successful businessmen in this country are better than someone who is, in my view, untrustworthy and liberal or a socialist.
Yeah. Well, the party has certainly, on the Democratic side, gone way to the left after President
Yep.
Obama, Elizabeth Warren, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders. George Allen, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.